So we just concluded the Foreign Affairs Council. First, we had breakfast on Armenia. We had Foreign Minister Mirzoyan joining us, and it's clear we talked about the elections, but also what happens next. Last week, elections delivered a clear message. The Armenian people voted for peace, sovereignty, and closer ties with Europe. Russia's heavy pressure and economic coercion failed to sway the vote. Today, ministers discussed how we can further strengthen Armenia's resilience and economic diversification. The EU is already working on major economic support package to help Armenia withstand Russia's unfair trading restrictions. Our new EU partnership mission in Armenia will soon begin work to help address cyber attacks, illicit financial flows, and other threats. We saw very heavy attacks overnight in Ukraine by Russia once again, and it made it clear that Moscow has no intention of ending this war. The strikes yet again killed civilians and damaged Kiev's historical cathedral, a direct assault on Ukraine's 1,000-year-old heritage. The strike also exposed the absurdity of Russia's claims to be the defender of Christianity. There's no military logic to these attacks. On the battlefield, Putin's war has reached the dead end, so Russia is increasingly striking civilians. Ministers were united that we must stay on course by supporting Ukraine and increasing pressure on Russia. And we continued doing that. Today we approved another batch of sanctions that will strike at the heart of Russian industrial military complex. The Shadow Fleet and also the hybrid warfare networks. We also adopted new listings targeting those who seek to destabilize, undermine and threaten Moldova. In parallel, ministers were clear that the work on the broader 21st package of sanctions must swiftly advance. Every measure shrinks Russia's room for maneuver, and the numbers speak volumes. Western sanctions have already cost Russia an estimated 1 to 1.3 trillion euro. These euros are not spent on waging war on Ukraine. Increasing the pressure also means isolating Russia internationally. As Russia bombs cathedrals, Europe should not roll out the red carpet for Russian artists and athletes that support Kremlin's war. Culture and sport should not be a tool to whitewash aggression. Later today, Ukraine and Moldova will take a decisive step towards joining the European Union. Opening the first chapters of EU accession negotiations is a major milestone. Both countries have delivered on difficult reforms under extraordinary circumstances. Ukraine and Moldova's future lie in the European Union. Their membership will make also Europe stronger. On the Middle East, the announcement by the United States and Iran of a deal to end the war and reopen the Strait of Hormuz marks a potential breakthrough. It can give much-needed space for deeper negotiations on Iran's nuclear program and other critical issues. The toughest phase of the talks still lies ahead. In recent days, I have spoken to my Iranian and Gulf counterparts. Today, EU foreign ministers discussed how EU can be closely involved in the next phase. From economic leverage to nuclear expertise, the EU stands ready to contribute to a sustainable resolution. Ministers commended the diplomatic efforts of the mediators, especially Pakistan and Qatar, and regional partners which made the deal possible. Lebanon has seen escalation in fighting in the recent weeks, and the EU has approved €100 million assistance package for the Lebanese armed forces to strengthen state authority and support disarmament of Hezbollah. We are also advancing work on the new EU mission in Lebanon. In Gaza and West Bank, the situation remains dire. Last month, ministers agreed on sanctions against extremist Israeli settlers and Hamas figures. Many member states have also proposed to sanction Minister Ben-Gvir, but no consensus on that was reached today. On the issue of trade with illegal settlements, many member states called for proposals from the Commission. I will convey this request and ask the Commission to prepare, ahead of the next Foreign Affairs Council, a list of options for possible trade measures, including measures aimed at preventing imports of goods originating from illegal settlements. We will also seek the Commission's assessment on the scope of the issue related to the rules of origin. And lastly, on China, from distorting subsidies, growing trade imbalances, and a near monopoly of critical raw materials, the list of issues remains long. Reducing dependencies with China won't be easy or cheap, but it's necessary and urgent. Some member states have called on the EU to use our trade tools more forcibly. Today, ministers focused on the foreign and security aspects of our relations with China. Beijing remains a decisive enabler of Russia's war against Ukraine, and in response, we sanctioned several Chinese entities today. We have also now verified reports that the Chinese military has been training Russian military personnel to fight in Ukraine. We are carefully assessing the implications. Furthermore, ministers discussed countering China's disinformation activities and strengthening European defence supply chains. On the Indo-Pacific, ministers reaffirmed that the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea clearly defines lawful conduct and serves as a foundation for security in the region. All those issues require pragmatic dialogue with Beijing. There was unity among ministers that we will defend European interests. And later today we will also hold EU-Egypt Association Council. Actually, it's right after this press conference. But before that, I take your questions.
Hello. Oh, okay. Hello. Thank you for giving me the floor. Mattia Bagnoli, ANSA, the National Italian News Agency. High Rep, Israel said that is not withdrawing the IDF forces from Lebanon, Syria, and Gaza. How worried are you that this stance can jeopardize the peace deal with Iran, and what the EU can do about it? And secondly, if I may, do you have a clear view today on where the member states stand when it comes to trade measures against illegal settlements? And is there a majority that support this eventually? Thank you.
Yes, we discussed, of course, the issue of Lebanon, and also ministers were saying that Lebanon should be covered by the ceasefire because it's really needed for this. And actually, I didn't get your other question. I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
Of course, of course. My second question is related because when you said that trade measure was discussed today, I would like to know if you have a clearer view of where the member states stand when it comes to the trade measures against illegal settlements, and if you think there will be a majority that support this.
Yes. We were, listening what the ministers were saying, around the table, and there was a clear understanding that the options need to be clear for the ministers. So I will take this back to the college to discuss because there was clear need in the room to come with answers to these questions that were presented. Also, when it comes to how member states should operate with current products that are on the market. So clearly, this is what I'm taking back to the Commission.
Yes, thank you, Camille Siré-Gessin from Agence Europe. This morning, Mr. Barrot, but also Mr. Macron said the Franco-British mission could be operated in a few days in the Strait of Hormuz. Is Aspides ready to operate with the mission? Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have had intensive discussions on Operation Aspides. We didn't have it today, but we had it before with the foreign ministers as well as defense ministers. The good news is that we now have more ships also in the Operation Aspides. The focus of Operation Aspides is to be the Red Sea, as it is right now, as the Franco-German coalition then will operate in the Strait of Hormuz. And clearly, as the Houthis have also said that they will increase attacks, I think these two operations also go hand in hand and complement each other. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you very much for the floor. Ksenia Polska, Deutsche Welle, Ukrainian and Russian services. First, my question would be about something that you just mentioned about Russian culture and the interest of the European Union to prevent the representation of Russia, Russian artists, and so on the territory of the European Union. Well, as far as I know, tonight, Russian singer Anna Netrebko is going to perform right across the street from here. I just checked. It's sold out, wasn't canceled. So what's your comment on that? And the second one is on the 22nd sanctions package against Russia. And one of its components is the ban of entry for Russian combatants. It is a very interesting measure, and our audiences respond to this very actively. And of course, we would like to know what the discussion, what's the stand of the discussion right now? Where do you see the challenges for that? Are they political? Are they technical? What are the chances of this measure being implemented at all? Thank you.
Thank you. Like I said, considering that Russia is bombing cultural heritage sites for a fifth year in a row, there shouldn't be no red carpet rolled out for the Russian artists. And it's very, very unfortunate to hear whether this is the case. And it is the case in some of the member states who do not feel that this war is really at their doorstep. So that's why it was important to raise it again, also with all the member states that we have around the table to show and what member states were also saying, considering that the overnight attacks on the UN Culture Heritage site. I think this is also something that illustrates this very, very much so. Of course, you know, if we don't have complete sanction or complete ban, then the member states are also deciding. But this is very, very unfortunate that this is taking place. If you say that it's true, we also saw what happened in Venice Biennale. So I think it's a valid lesson for everybody. The war is not over. Russia has not changed its goals. We should not act as business as usual with them. When it comes to the Russian combatants ban, now it is the Commission's proposal is on the table. We have the intelligence of people who have been fighting in the army. So clearly, I'm not visa or visa regulations expert, but I'm sure that it's possible to put a whole Schengen ban for these people. I mean, complete list of these people who have been participating in the war, because it's not only a question of the war in Ukraine, it's actually the question of our own security, because these people who have been fighting against Ukraine coming to European territories, I'm sure will create a lot of problems here that we should avoid from the outset. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Philippe Renier from the newspaper Le Soir in Brussels. You mentioned last night Russian strikes on Ukraine. Do you see kind of a message from the Kremlin on the day of the opening negotiation of accessions of Ukraine to the EU? And secondly, did you discuss the EPF for Ukraine? Are there any news or decision regarding this file? Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Russia is clearly sending a message that it doesn't want to end this war. I mean, whether we are tying this to the Ukrainian decision about their future, I don't think that they should have a say about any other country's future but their own. And looking at the state of the economy or social affairs in Russia, I would recommend them dealing with their own problems. On the EPF, yes, we have tabled a compromise, taking into account the initial idea of the EPF being a burden-sharing tool, but also taking into account that it has been blocked for nearly 3 years, and taking into account that Ukraine has needs. We had discussion today as well. We didn't reach a political agreement yet, but I was stressing and pushing that we would have a political agreement before the start of summer in European terms. So hopefully we managed to get to this point. Thank you.